Have you ever thought as a teacher that there could be a more effective way to teach students that may be learning at a different pace, or maybe they just need that extra step up support that they need to be at that same level as other children? And one way we can do that and help those students is through differentiating instruction. And you may think that differentiating instruction is maybe a program or a curriculum that teachers can use in class. However, it is a strategy or a style of teaching. And it can also maximize the learning of all students uh, by creating a classroom environment where the students are given several options to effectively retain information of whatever it is they're learning. So with differentiation, it's so hard for me to say, differentiated instruction, the instruction plan is based on observed differences or similarities from other students. And these learning support elements or instructions, they're based on the learning style of the students as well as the skill levels and what we can do to provide support for every type of student versus traditional styles of teaching where you stand in the front of the classroom and lecture to all the students, and once you're finished lecturing, you expect them to retain it, and you give out assessments and homework that they may not be ready for. They may not fully understand what they learned in class today. So, how can we as teachers teach, or how can we as teachers differentiate instruction? Well, we can do this through their interest, their learning profiles, their readiness, their behavioral history, etc. Because again, some students are different than others, and they all deserve that chance to learn at the same rate and, you know, excel as well with the other students. So, with the different learning styles, each children learns differently. So, I guess one question would be pause, how we can differentiate instruction. So, what ways can we do that? By accommodating differing abilities. So, if one student is a visual learner, like they can learn having things in front of them and seeing someone else do it, audio, where they would be able to listen, and kinesthetic, where they're able to hands on work on whatever subject or lesson it is. So accommodate to those different abilities would be maybe having a recording section for a student for a subject and maybe rotate so they all get a hand on, how they can learn in that element. So, recordings, reading, and problem solving, working out themselves with their hands, as well as assessing each student's strengths and weaknesses. And that would be kind of with that, assess that first, and then, divvy it up where you feel they can effectively learn more and provide more support there. Vary the pace of instruction. Some children learn quicker than others. However, if you spend that time during doing a lesson during the morning, and by the afternoon you expect children to know it, but say two or three of them don't know it, provide that pace for everyone to give them a chance to learn in multiple ways in different situations and scenarios, as well as inquiry-based learning where they let you know what's going on, assigning homework and classroom activities based on ability. So maybe assign homework to those who are, more readiness than the other students. and evaluate and reward students based on individualized progress. So maybe if you're working with technology, one student could be working with, level one reading. And then you have other students who are really on level three reading. You can individually put them on their level three reading even without them knowing. So it won't be, oh, I read better than you, I'm at a higher level than you. No one will really know what level they're at. We can talk about that with their parents. Another way would be engaging multiple backgrounds and learning styles, because every child is different and they come from many different places. We can adapt, their culture or their language into projects and make them feel more comfortable. Celebrate diversity, same thing. Just showcasing what makes them different as far as their culture and ethnicity, as well as make each lesson plan appeal to multiple senses. Again, audio, visual, kinesthetic. Make it, widespread so every child can have that chance to learn. Also, another way would be incorporating choice into lesson. So that one would be a big thing for me because I feel children sometimes they don't feel as heard as much. And so if we as teachers give them that chance to tell us, well, I learn better this way, or I like to learn about this, or, I'm really focused on basketball instead of math. Well, we can incorporate your interest. We can turn basketball into a math problem, make it fun for them. So that would be a great way to incorporate different differentiate instruction. How do we prepare students for the instruction? Well, we can communicate with the parents, of course, and talk to them about what we expect in the class from their students and also what we expect at home, as well as develop the understanding with the students of what we expect from them in class. Another one for preparation would be classroom organization, making sure everything is where it should be as far as, group work and when we have projects, and make sure everything's where it should be, just to make sure that transitioning is better, which was my next point, transitioning from one study group to the next, or maybe one classroom to the next. And yeah, those are great ways to be prepared for class, as well as time management, being able to manage uh, effectively what groups need a certain amount of time, what lessons need a certain amount of time, and effectively uh, managing behavior and holding the students accountable for their behavior as well, which is a great way as far as what we expect from them in small groups, during quiet reading hours or quiet learning time, and what we expect from them transitioning from group or subject to another subject or class to another class. What does a differentiated class look like? Kind of size. So in this photo, you can see all the children are kind of spaced out and they're all kind of working on separate things. So I feel this photo does a great job at showing what it looks like. You have students over here who are focused on reading. Maybe they need more help on reading. You have students over here who are focused on math. Maybe they're, you know, need more help with math. Then you have students over here writing. Maybe they need more help with writing. Also, they could all be learning the same thing. You may have students reading about math. You may have students over here working with math, and then you have students over here, solving their math problems. Not as much as the other children who aren't really, they're playing around and stuff, but it's a elementary classroom. You never know what to expect, and again, all children are different. Um, and again, there's lots of small groups. Homework assignments are more based off readiness, and students are able to work on more than one subject, or they're able to all work on the same subject, but still at different stations. So the last point was um, common practices with teaching and why they're not considered differentiated instruction. So common practice, definitely, instead of lecturing, one thing we could do is try the small groups and, provide physical activities or activities based off interest and lessons based off interest. And again, providing support for those different elements, such as visual, audio, kinesthetic. Instead of grouping students based off of their previous assessment from last year, you never know, they may be in a different space this year. And even if they aren't, when you do take that pretest in the beginning of the school year, it just shows you where they're at this very moment. It doesn't show you where they could be in a month or a week even. So my thing with that is it would be better to do the pretest, but have those students separated based off of their readiness and their skill level. I don't want to say what they know right now because they can know more in a week, but be able to, have it organized to where, okay, this student is right now at level 1. They look like they're inching more towards level 2. I'm going to start putting them in this session because I feel like they'll piggyback, they'll retain more off of this section versus level 1. So that's just a good idea to do it instead of their previous test scores, group them off of their readiness and their interest and their skill level. The last point was, instead of rewarding participation for a class, we should just reward them and give them recognition for understanding how to solve the problems or acknowledge the process of a problem. So say they're not really great at learning 12 plus 10 when you write it down on the paper. If they're showing that they're struggling with that, yet they're still, or showing that they're struggling with the answer, yet they're still acknowledging the process and going through the motions and noticing, okay, well, I understand where I went wrong here. We should reward things like that instead of just classroom participation, because participating isn't really retaining and learning. And that's it. Thank you very much.